word bravery triggers a lot of images to come to mind. The bravest image is that of an American soldier fighting for my freedoms, many of whom I will never get the chance to thank. Within this speech, I will commemorate those who have fought for our freedoms in the United States. Understanding bravery of the soldiers exemplify will allow us to celebrate and honor the battles they have both on and off the fields. I've looked into the feats and struggles of soldiers and have taken into account the bravery of family members who have served, are serving, and are enlisted. Throughout the duration of this speech, you will learn of the bravery Vietnam veterans faced in the draft, upon homecoming, and in old age. Let's begin by defining bravery for the purpose of this speech. Bravery is defined by the Merriam-Webster dictionary as the quality or state of having or showing mental or moral strength to face danger, fear, or difficulty. Merriam-Webster 2019. A Vietnam soldier exemplifies bravery. A Thanksgiving weekend supposed to be filled with family turkey and giving thanks takes a drastic turn when the mail is opened. A family celebration is paused when the family reads over a draft notice nobody saw coming. Who will take the bid? Drafted to serve the nation, he stood in line awaiting his turn to be sent and trained into the battlefront of Vietnam. He would blindly serve his country for the next 14 sides alongside other drafted soldiers. The Vietnam draft of 1967 incited many feelings for young men as they began their journey in the next part of their deployment. In 1967, more than 300,000 American men opened envelopes with this statement inside: "Greetings, you are hereby ordered for induction into the United States Army." Rutenberg, 2017. These men rose through service through their great bravery. Upon return, soldiers had to bravely prepare for homecomings. No welcome home parades, congratulations were in store for returning veterans. They weren't thanked or honored, but were rather blamed for deaths and losing a war. Veterans were greeted by hostile environments upon arriving home. In a film by the History Channel titled "Mistreatment of Vietnam Veterans," several key topics are talked about as to why veterans weren't warmly welcomed home. First, it was America's first major defeat, and troops bore the brunt of this loss. History Channel, 2018. They recalled being spat upon and called baby killers by the family and people who welcomed them home. As my grandpa is thanked for his service, he is often caught telling people how new it is to be told thank you. He was hardened by people dissing his service and being spit at when he arrived home. He told stories of always riding in the back of buses and on occasion even being looked down upon by other World War veterans. That wasn't the last of the mistreatment, however. The veterans were not treated well by the government either upon their homecomings. Vietnam veterans were not given the funding they needed to transition back to civilian life. Whether it was a lack of compensation to cover living and educational expenses or a lack of health care coverage benefits that prior veterans received, according to Camellia 2018. The after effects of these soldiers' acts of bravery also led to many health challenges as the aging process began. These men who fought in foreign wars decades ago are just now facing a new danger: Agent Orange-related medical problems as a result of war. Agent Orange was an herbicide that was used all over Vietnam to essentially kill off all vegetation, allowing for U.S. soldiers to be able to locate the Vietnamese. Under the codename of Operation Ranch Hand, the Vietnam soldiers were exposed to over 20 million gallons of Agent Orange, according to History.com in 2011. My grandfather told tales of how they used to carry the barrels around, allowing it to splosh all over them, smoked while it was being sprayed, and joked around as they filled planes with the solution with little regard to the dangers it may pose in their later lives. According to the article titled "Agent Orange," published by the History Channel, returning Vietnam veterans and their family began to report a range of afflictions, including rashes, skin irritations, miscarriages, psychological symptoms, type 2 diabetes, birth defects in children, and cancers such as Hodgkin's disease, prostate cancer, and leukemia, according to the HistoryChannel.com in 2011. The veterans are now using the remainder of their bravery to fight for their lives one last time. After all the years of disrespect over the war, the veterans are now told thank you for their services. Vietnam veterans truly showed bravery in the face of war, adversity of returning home, and within their aging days. In the face of bravery, I believe that we should all commemorate our troops and veterans. With so many holidays dedicated to the bravery of those who have served, I hope you can stand, clap, and thank those who bravely protected your freedoms. Remember, it's never too late to thank a veteran.